Good morning on this thankful Thursday. I don't want you to see my kitchen that's cooking. I'm gonna turn this way. Happy birthday to Gloria Slaughter. Heavenly birthday to Lane V. Anderson. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna take my glasses off though. These sunglasses. I'm going natural today. How about that? Last Thursday we talked about squirrel in the desert to help you feel at home. Feeling at home, I'm just going to read the first. Feeling at home in the world is like feeling at home where you live. Suppose you moved into a new place. It's nice, but it feels like a little cold and alienating. Then you fix it. You bring in furniture that looks and feels right to you. You rearrange your furniture in a way that suits you, your lifestyle. You add in some of your old stuff and notice immediately how much more familiar everything looks. How familiar. You make your home comfortable to you. You add in some of your old stuff, noticing immediately how much familiar everything looks. It looks comfortable. And then one day you feel at home there. That's what feeling at home in the world is like. It's much more important. Much more important. The problem is that you can't rearrange the world to suit your taste. You can't rearrange the world to suit your taste. Can't do it. All you can do is find a place in the world that feels like home to you. This includes friends, the work you do, the kind of community you live in, ways to express your beliefs, and creativity. When you find something like this, if you do, it feels wonderful. Here's how some people describe everything in my life feel right to me now. I feel I've come into my own. I feel like myself for the first time. I finally feel free. I know what I want and I know I can get it. I trust myself to take care of myself, but it's not always easy to find a home in the world. Most of us have had experiences like this. You're in a new relationship. The other person certainly looks good on paper, and he or she is definitely a nice, friendly person. You should be great together, but it doesn't feel right. You're just not at home with this person. It's the same when you don't feel at home in the world, even if things look perfect. They're not perfect for you. Okay. They're not perfect. Your life may look great, but you don't completely feel you belong there. This doesn't mean you feel like a weirdo. It doesn't mean you don't feel at home in any way. It's just that you're one of those people who hasn't yet found a life that feels completely right. In one way or another, you don't feel as if you fit in. Has anybody out there felt like they didn't fit in? You may be good at hiding that feeling from everyone else, but it's hard to hide it from yourself. And when you don't feel at home in the world, you imagine that there's some different career, that the world would be right for you, some other person you could share your life with who would be right for you, some other place you could live that would be right for you. But you may not know what's missing. You may not know how to get it. No issue is both more important, more suitable than feeling at home in the world. It's like being able to breathe. None of us turn cartwheels because we wake up able to breathe. We don't even notice it most of the time. But you sure notice if you couldn't breathe. In the same way, some people only realize what it's like to feel at home in the world they've lost it, when something happens to drag them out of what feels familiar and right to them. When we don't feel at home in the world, we need help. And the cosmic kindergarten is designed to give us just the help we need. If only we pay attention. Often we need to bring us home is a tidal wave. For many of us, that tidal wave has already happened. Section 1. Tasting of the wine. Let me share a wonderful letter I got from a beautiful friend, Julie. Just after she died a while ago, I can still see those big, warm, brown eyes of hers looking at me, so filled with hope, even near the end. Julie was a painter. I wandered into Newberry Street Gallery one cold, rainy Saturday morning. The fresh, bright, warm, and mostly primary colors of her landscape immediately grabbed me. I knew that someone who painted like that would be a person filled with light. Julie happened to be there that morning, and we started talking. As I got to know her, I found that she was a colorful and friendly as her painting. Sadly, Julie had chronic kidney condition. A couple of years later, she developed end-stage kidney failure and died. You might wonder if it's possible to see that everything happens for a reason, no matter what. For example, can a person say everything happens for a reason and the reason I'm dying is question? That's what Julie letter shows. In my experience, everyone who has time to get used to it finds a way to make sense of their own dying. And if you can find meaning in your own death, you can find meaning in anything. This is the letter that Julie wrote to Myra. My dearest friend Myra, if you're reading these words, I want you to know I'm happy, dead. But happy, LOL. I don't know if anyone hasn't gone through what I've gone through can understand it. Sure, you don't want to get sick. And then when you find out you're sick, you don't want to die. But at some point, you get really sick and then you realize, oh, death can be pretty damn useful. It's a good thing when the body wears out. I kind of think of death as my friend right now. I found peace a while ago. At first, I really, really didn't want to die. But once I accepted the fact that I was going to die, I actually went through a pretty good period. The way I was feeling then was, geez, this sucks anyway. So why should I make it any worse than it has to be? Really? Why ever suffer more than you have to? That gave me a chance. I think many of us never get to look at my life and savor it. Like when you sip at a wine tasting. All the living in the future is gone. You realize how much of life you spent trying to get somewhere without taking the time to ever actually be somewhere. Well, I wasn't getting anywhere anymore. This was it. Now, here's the thing. This was it. I want you to know, hey, I'm reaching out from the grave to tell you this. Kind of creepy. Imagine. But how many times do you ever get to use it? You know, I never felt the jibbed with life that well. I just didn't get what was going on a lot of times. I always felt a little like a misfit. Does anybody out there feel like a misfit? Then I remember back to that period when I'd cried and cried. Oh God, I don't want to die. Why is this happening to me? And then it hit me. I realized that terrible regret I felt was really a wonderful gift. Wow. I was sad about saying goodbye to life. That's so great. It means my life was good. It means my life was home to me. It's such a paradox. In a way, my losing my life gave me the gift of seeing that I'd had a good life. I loved it. It had made me happy. My dying gave me my life. Love forever, Julie. Julie had been a huge inspiration to me for so long. Losing her was hard, but what a gift she gave me when she died. She validated my sense that many more of us struggle to find a way to feel at home in the world than we might guess. Julie showed me that a person can discover positive meaning in absolute anything that happens. Julie found meaning in dying by seeing how it gave her a way to feel at home in this world. Do you feel like a misfit? You can find a way. Apps discover positive meaning in absolutely anything to feel at home. Section 2, restless souls and other special people. Here's how you can tell for sure if this apple applies to you. Answer the following questions, diagnostic questions. Would you describe yourself as a restless soul? In high school, did you have a hard time fitting in? Is there some secret, private part of you that you haven't felt comfortable showing anyone? When you see people who seem really belong somewhere, people who live in small town or people who come from tight-knit families, do you envy them? Have you felt that you've been looking for something in life for a long time, but you're not quite sure what you're looking for? If you answer yes to 3 or more of these questions, you can be confident you went through what you did to help you feel more at home in the world. It was perhaps to help you understand why you choose the life you did or to show you a new and better way of living. If this fits you, congratulations. This is a tough issue for many people. Behind lots of smiling, confident faces you see every day, there's an unsatisfied yearning for a sense of at homeness. But you've been given a gift designed to bring you home. You're that much more ahead of the game. When you think about it, the idea that some huge event in your life helps you feel at home in the world is kind of strange. The life events that leave us hungry to discover their meanings are usually dislocations of some sort. They yank us out of our place in life and drag us into a new place where we don't want to be. So, how can an event that capulates you into unexpected path help you feel more at home in the world? A tidal wave can bring you home when your previous home was a trap. There's a fine line between a home and a trap. Think about a relationship. A great relationship can easily feel like home for your heart. What about, what about barely tolerable one, where convenience and irritate force you to try to overlook the dozen of ways you and your partner don't mesh? This is a trap. Not because it's terrible, but because it's not terrible enough to push you into action. Our life is filled with traps. This is not quite good enough job. The career you choose because it's secure. You're afraid the career you want is too risky. The apartment that's cheap and not where you want to live, but you stay because it's too good of a deal to pass up. Lots of times, these traps are our own making. We don't believe in ourselves. We don't know ourselves. It's as if we've glued ourselves into where we are, and we need to use the glue precisely because the fit is so poor. Then it takes a dynamite to break up that kind of glue. Maybe you've already lived through the explosion. Section 3. Now we're starting on. So that's what my home looked like. For some people like Julie, the meaning of an event in their lives is that they are more at home in the world than they thought. Understanding why something happened to them means discovering a previous unexpected at homeness. Here's another example. Zoe, 22, was someone with a great eclectic fashion sense who bought all her clothes at a vintage clothing boutique. She had short black hair and wore narrow black glasses and bright red lipstick. Think Cyndi Lauper meets Gina Garofalo. When Zoe was 13, both of her parents were killed in a car crash. I'll never be able to talk to anyone about what it was like to hear that both my parents were dead. Like you, just can't breathe. Zoe was someone who had specifically come to me for help in discovering some meaning in her being orphaned. I didn't have any brothers or sisters, but it wasn't just that. I lost my parents. The other bad part was going to live with my grandmother. I know she did her best, but she didn't want me and she didn't have anything to give me. I felt there are things you're supposed to get from your parents that I just didn't get. Talking to them about stuff, asking them questions, learning how to do all kinds of things, like deal with other girls or boys. I needed that when I was 13. Some people think that I still need it now. My mother was so beautiful. I wanted her to show me how to apply makeup and wear clothes. I needed clothes. I needed my father to tell me I was beautiful. It's like I'm ill equipped. That's how I feel, ill equipped. I just can't bear thinking something like this happens for no reason. I know there's a reason. I just don't know what it is. Why I missed out on what I missed out on. I don't want to go through my life feeling I have all these missing pieces. Do some of us have missing pieces in our life? It's like I'll never come together. All these words have spilled out of Zoe's mouth in a rapid, cool, and even flow. Now she paused. I'm starting graduate school in September. By the way, I'm studying Black history. I'm going to focus on slavery, the slavery period, hopefully on slave narrative. There are so many missing pieces in these people's lives and our understanding of their lives. I guess I have the fondness for things that have missing pieces. Let me ask you a question, I said. Would you describe yourself as a restless soul? I don't know, Zoe said. I'm always I always feel like a misfit. Wherever I go, it's like I'm looking at things through the wrong end of a telescope. I feel people are looking at me that way too. Even studying Black history, it's where I want to be. I love it, but I don't feel I'm on the same wavelength as everyone else. It's like I'm looking for different, something different from what they're seeing, and I don't know what that is. So I guess, yeah, Zoe said, all that looking for something different, of course, I'm a restless soul. I'm always thinking about doing something new or going in a different direction. No place I'm in ever feels quite right. It's like sitting in one of those chairs where you can never get comfortable and you keep shifting your position. Hmm. Do we shift our position in life? Do we shift from one thing to another, trying to feel comfortable in this world? That's how I think I feel in life. But I wonder if Zoe was more at home in the world than she thought she was. What do you think your life would be like if your parents hadn't died? God, I used to romanticize that so much, how everything would have been perfect, Zoe said. Then she paused and sighed. Look, they were really good parents. They really loved me, but they were also pretty conventional. And I was a wild child, wild kid. I had so much energy flying in all different directions. The image I have of my parents is that they were trying to contain my energy for my own good. I think that when I became a teenager, I would have rebelled big time. Instead, since you were 13, you've had to find your own way. But maybe you're less lost than you think. Maybe you feel that the way you're supposed to feel when you're finding your own way. I'm saying you can find meaning in your parents dying when they did. It gave you an opportunity to find your own way sooner with more freedom to find your own home in the world in your own way. You're still searching, but the search itself is your home. And that, and here's the thing, your home in this world is special. You're not someone who can just get off the rat. You needed all the time and freedom possible to get on with the business of finding it. Let me ask you this. You said you feel like a misfit. Did you ever, for one moment, think that if you found your place, it would be a cliche? That was the one thing I knew, Zoe said, that whatever my place ultimately was, it wouldn't be a cliche. Your parents' death wasn't an empty catastrophe. You lost something huge, but you gained something that you needed in a special way. For a restless soul, you're remarkably well grounded. You're probably a lot more at home in the world than many people your age. You know what you want to study, Black history. You know you want to focus on picking up the missing pieces in the lives of African Americans and their heritage. You even have your own fashion sense. Zoe glowed like someone who'd just received two wonderful gifts. And she had. She seen that she was more at home in the world than she realized. She discovered that achieving this at homeness gave meaning to her parents' death. Zoe's story teaches us something very important about what it's like for some of us, to feel at home in the world. Home isn't always what we think it will be. Some of us are restless souls. Some of us are oddballs. We haven't been formed by a cookie cutter, restless, odd. So, home for us might be to recognize and might be more of a process than a place, more of a road than a destination. Make no mistake about one thing, though. Zoe found a meaning for what happened to her and herself, not in the event. Not everyone who loses their parents at the age of 13 is launched into searching for a way to feel at home in the world. But Zoe, it wasn't her being orphaned, but a restless, resistant, not easy, pigeonholed quality in her that made her struggle to feel at home in the world. A terrible tragedy had meaning for Zoe because it gave her more freedom to resolve this struggle. So, the story of Zoe and Julie. Let's go back for a minute here. So, that's what my home looks like. The story of Zoe. Zoe lost her parents at a young age. It doesn't matter when you lose your parents at this point, you have to find meaning, positive meaning, and press forward, push into action. So, I'm going to find one point. Your home in this world is special. Next week, we'll talk about That's Just Nuts, section 4 of chapter of reason 1 to help you feel at home in this world. We'll continue next Thursday on Thankful Thursday. Have a blessed day and remember to smile. Peace. Remember to smile. Smile. Remember to smile. And remember, everything happens for a reason. You can find meaning, find your place, find your home in this world. Peace.